So yeah, so we'll start with a generic thing of like how to basically choose a B school and what to do. So before we even start, I'll just take you through the G sheet that we have created. Just 1 second. Hey, Shri, can you just allow me to share my screen? So this is a thing that we have created. I like you all to just fill in. So the reason I am asking you to do this is basically now you know whom all people to actually you connect internally also, because you know maybe Rakshit, like he's aiming for Georgetown, Simon, Carlson, and Oxford. So if he finds anyone with a similar kind of an interest, then he might. Or if and he also had admits from like UT Dallas, MSN from Carlson, and Georgia State University. So if anybody wants to basically go through it, he and she can directly go and text Rakshit and want to know what is happening and how is it happening. So that kind of gives you the liquidity. So that's what I want. Now coming back more to what we are here for. So it will be a very interactive session, and I will be basically taking you through not only the journey, what needs to be done if you're applying for schools across the globe, and how do you approach your admission process. So before I start, do you have any questions that you want me to specifically answer? Okay.
Uh, yes. This is
Yeah,
Suresh.
Suresh.
I do have. So, like, how do we decide, like, when you are applying to certain, let's say, a specific school? So, is it advisable to write your goals based on their strength, or should we just mention our strength and let's see
Okay,
what happens?
so what I'll do, if you go for an school admit, it's basically GMAT, GRE, and then basically, so even before you're giving a so you have to get your GMAT, GRE score. I'm not getting into it because we are already doing a session parallel to it. Post that, what needs to be done? Now, while you are basically applying for any school, first you have to shortlist the school that you want to apply for. Now, how do you basically shortlist the school that you're applying for? So basically, how do you even shortlist that? For example, if I was talking to Rakshit like a week back, and he had a school interest towards the finance stream. So if you look at the US as a hub, then you basically see the East Coast being more of a finance hub in that way. So while it is the East Coast, you see schools which have a inclination towards the finance. So you see a Simon's Business School or a Georgetown Business School or a NYU Stern, which is in the core financial law, which is obviously on the higher part. And so you shortlist those schools, like which one to go for. Now coming back to what Shubhesh asked, like how do you basically express your goals? So what I feel, and that is something that has worked for me, or at least, is that you should be focusing on your goals and not highlighting what the school wants you to. And I will tell you why it needs to be done. Because Shubhesh, the thing is that SOP is just a part of your application which has some weightage in it. But while you are actually writing your applications, you have to still appear for an interview. And when you going for an interview, you will suddenly realize, if you are not in sync with the goals that you have expressed in that particular SOP, then suddenly you will lose the track, and there is a good chance that you will get eliminated. So the reason I'm telling you, you should be in sync with your goal, but you will also see pointers. See, you can't hit each and every pointer that the college has to offer, but you want to try to hit maybe one or two. For example, for me, why I chose Penn State, because this was a supply chain B school. Okay, now for me, certainly this one, yeah. So for me, it was Penn State University, because it was a supply chain B school. I wanted to, and with my experience in supply chain, I wanted to get into a supply chain B school. So I first shortlisted the colleges, which were Penn State University, Michigan State University, then ASU. This is Arizona State University. Though I didn't apply for it. So you shortlist those colleges, and you give your own version of what you want to do and how you want to do. I'll give you one more thing. If you look at an UC Irvine College, it is Mirage Business School is more into the tech B school. It's because it's in core California. You're not looking for they're not looking for a supply chain thing. But if you go through my essay,
Yeah, right.
it is still a supply chain essay. So how did I link my story to them? So what I did is basically their story told me, the SOP question was, can you tell me about yourself, and why should you, like, how are you going to use a school's facility and connect it with your goal? Something like this. And they wanted to focus more on the high tech point of view because we're a tech school. Now, when I wanted to go through it, what I realized, if you see, there are many technical advancements that are happening in the supply chain stream itself. For example, there is there's this active tracking kind of thing where they can actively track the
Yes.
truck and all those things.
Introduce
So, yeah,
blockchain also.
yeah. So now you merge that thing. Okay, so this is getting merged to the overall thing. This is the supply chains thing. This is the overall thing, and we merge that thing, and that's when we express this. Okay, this is how you go about basically expresses the thing. So you have to still stick to your goal, because you have to understand, you have to still give your interview after that. But while you're doing that, you have to make sure you are connected to the B school's theory, or what do you call the overall ethos of the B school. You can't really let go of it. You can't suddenly go to Simon and say ki I want to do something. And that's when I got dinged in Simon. Simon told me it's a finance B school, and I portrayed a pure SCM story, and I realized that's not how you go. So you have to create a marriage between your goal and the college's thing, and that's when you are able to basically portray your story plus able to express your story in the interview also, because otherwise B schools won't take you. This was thing. Second thing, before I move ahead, there are a few questions which I think Rakshit posted. So let me answer each of them. So the questions are how to network with AdComs, how to shortlist the schools. Third question is, but college AdComs suggest not to say that you want to get into IB or consulting, because with a score below 700, it's not possible, even though getting into IB is my goal. Okay, now let me take one by one. So how do you network with AdComs? Before even you network with AdComs, Rakshit, in this case, what I will suggest, basically all the B schools that you are focusing on, please go and connect to their alums who are already admitted or looking for an admission. Okay. Now what would happen is that while you are connecting with their alums, this will help you, basically they themselves will get you connected to the AdComs or the various prominent people who are responsible for admissions. So when you look at AdComs are not necessarily only the college bodies. They can also be student bodies also. Sometimes few students are also part of AdComs too, for your knowledge. So they can help you connect to those specific people, and you can just climb the ladder, because it's not a one-day effort. It's a multi-tiered effort where you put in that effort of connecting the alum, then he or she can help you connect with the other person, and that's how you approach the ladder and you get into that zone of where you are now connecting with the AdCom. Now, why I'm saying go with this sign, because now you can give a reference to someone whom you approached. For example, because Rakshit, you I think connected with Mike also. So now I think you connected via Parth, if I'm not wrong. So now what happens is that you can give Parth's reference to Mike, is that Parth asked me to connect with you to know more about the school and all those things. Now what will happen is that he will be suddenly more influenced, because he is interested in the schools. He has taken that effort to connect with the alum, and now after getting a fair idea of the school, he's connecting with me because he is more inquisitive about everything. That's the one way of approaching. Second way is that if you go to the school website, whenever you're applying, you will see the contact details there itself. So you go and basically directly shoot a mail or something like that, and they revert to you, and then you start that connection and go into that chit chat conversation that you're getting into. Maybe schedule a Zoom call where you actually get to know the school better and arise your question that kind of tells your interest. Third thing is that there are many events that each of the schools organizes. So you have to keep a tag of everything. So when you're keeping a tab of everything, for example, say I attended the Goizotai school seminar like a couple of days back. Now suddenly I'm getting all the mailers and everything. So what I'll say, just connect with every one of them and start getting those mailers. So what it will help you is basically get a hang of what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. So what I am basically pointing out here is that while you're connecting with the various B schools here, the events will help you basically fast track your journey towards the B school, because now you know which school and how to basically go about it. Last bit of how to connect with an AdComs is that there are many MBA seminars that are happening across the B school. So while there are many MBA seminars also happening, what will happen is that you're attending your MBA seminars, you will not able only to get one school, but numerous schools. So one example is the MBA tour that is happening this 15th. So I would request all of you to basically register there. So you have colleges from Wharton, Arizona State University. There are various B schools participating in it. CMU, Tepper. So you just go take it there, and this time, since this is virtual, so you get a very good opportunity actually to connect with folks based out of US also, which would have otherwise been not possible. So try to leverage that. So that is more on the connection of AdComs. Going to your second question that you asked, how to shortlist the B schools. So Rakshit, there are two ways of basically going ahead and shortlisting your B schools. First, to see which type of stream that you want to go for. It can be finance, it can be SCM, it can be marketing, and basis that you shortlist the schools. Now there is another thing, criterion that comes into is the geography. Whether you want to be based out of US, whether Canada, whether Europe, UK, India, Australia, I don't know. Basis that you do a second level of segregation. Okay, these are the B schools across the B schools. The last and a very important bit that comes to your own GMAT score. See, you can expect a lot of things, but if you don't have a good GMAT score, for sure you won't get through. Now, what do I mean by good GMAT score? It's not that you have to score a 750, 760. For example, to aim for an average college with a 710, you at least need a 680, 690 to even have a chance in going into it, until unless it's a pandemic kind of situation again, where you get a leverage and you kind of bring it up. It's an outlier. You can't really depend upon that kind of a situation. So what I am basically telling is that you have to basically shortlist the colleges, basically 3 criteria: the geography, which is which geography you want to be in, the stream that you want to major in, third is basically where you want to be based out of, as in like the GMAT score that helps you basically climb to that ladder. And that's how you go about shortlisting that school. And while you're shortlisted, the AdCom interaction and other networking comes as the second bit, because you can't go ahead and connect with 40 B schools, AdComs and everything, because it's a hell lot of networking that we're looking at. So that's how you go about shortlisting the B school. Yeah, the third question that you asked is basically, college AdCom suggests not to say that you want to get into IB or consulting because with a score below 700. So I'll tell you honestly, there are 2 ways of looking at it. So if you're looking at, I'll tell you the consulting story and it will kind of answer you the IB story also. So the consulting, if you're looking at the McKinsey, Bain, BCG kind of a company, without 700, even without colleges beyond the top 20 league, you kind of have a very difficult chance of getting into. 80 currently you might have, but other than that, very difficult. Now, when they say beyond 700, if you don't have a 700, you won't even have a chance in getting in the top 20 B schools, to be really honest. So by default, you will have to have a 700 because they don't entertain your application altogether in most of the other cases until unless you have something brilliant on the other forum. It's not only the school part. Maybe say you are you have done something innovative which have basically got you maybe a nomination in the Times magazine or something. Okay. So those are things that they watch out for. They want brilliant candidates, and one of the hacky way of picking up brilliant candidates is to go to those niche B schools like a Harvard, Stanford, and the top 20 B schools, still a McCombs or a UCLA kind of a thing. While you are applying for those kind of B school, you don't get into those B schools without a 700 score, all said and done. So without a 700 score, hence it becomes very impossible for an international candidate to go into it. Now the second truth is, consulting generally don't hire international. The reason being, there is a lot of visa issues. Other than that, obviously the McKinsey, Bain, BCG I'm talking about, like Deloitte stopped hiring internationals like a couple of years back. So they don't hire internationals. So you have to be wary of the fact if they don't hire international, how you get into it. So you keeping that in mind, you have to see whether you should go for it, not go for it. How do you prep your things and all those things. Last thing is this: with the new pandemic situation coming up, consulting is not such a great field that people want to. IB, yes, it is still. But consulting, I think you should do a very intensive research where you should go for that kind of a college, not go for that kind of a college, and how it is going to be panning out for you. And if you are basically looking colleges outside top 20, then I would recommend consulting is a distant dream in a way, because people generally consulting then goes into those colleges itself to entertain you. Maybe if you call, even ENY and Deloitte doesn't hire internationals. So you have to be wary of that fact. So you have a very limited chance of getting into those. There are few niche B schools where still MBB like companies go, like McKinsey, Bain, BCG, like Michigan. It goes to Michigan State only for hiring SCM consultants. Now you have to be in that niche field which the college is known for you to have any chance in getting into this kind of firm. So I hope that answers your question. Now moving on to, yes, since my undergrad GPA is low, so many colleges suggest me to apply in round 2 after I get my first semester score from my master's in fire. So it is advisable to apply in round 2 or round 1 while keeping in the problem in consideration. See, I don't know how low your undergrad GPA is, but if it is very low, to be really honest, then irrespective whether you are applying for round 1 or round 2, until unless you overpopper your undergrad GPA with a very good MS in Finance GPA, there is very, very, very less chance of you actually making it to the school. Now, given that thing, how do you basically strengthen your profile? One thing is obviously GMAT. Go ahead and get a 750, 760 plus in GMAT. Suddenly, you're kind of managing your undergrad GPA until it is very low. Second thing, if you are giving your MS Finance, go and top that thing. Suddenly you are saying, okay, so what they want to see, are you academically capable of being a part of the school? It's not the undergrad GPA. So I have seen people with a 5-pointer also making it to good B school. So you have to prove your academic excellence. And how do you do it? So one is GMAT, second is any masters that you are doing, third is strengthening other parts of your profile, maybe taking extra courses, online courses, Coursera or something, getting those brownie points, starting something of your own. And this is how you basically overpower your undergrad GPA, because you have to have a solid story. Second thing, create a solid story about why your undergrad GPA was low. Maybe you had a medical reason, maybe you had some other reason. So you have to create a solid, okay, I am anyways good, but this is where I am. Third thing, that you can show that, see, I had always been good in my thing, like 10th and 12th mark sheet can be one of the way of justifying it. But because of this ABC reason, I couldn't perform this. But while I was engaged in this, I did some extracurricular activities during this period, and I am able to manage this. But I am still have that academic provenness because I'm scoring well in MS Finance or doing well in GMAT, and that's how you do. But you need then you are basically looking at a 750 kind of a GMAT score to basically overshadow your low undergrad GPA, basis how you basically how low your undergrad GPA is. The last thing is, people targeting are not concerned about visa rule. Not they are concerned about the visa rule, and you can ask me, Chakri, and Shri. We all three have US admits, and we are. And that's why the one hack that people are looking is that basically trying to understand. So our plan B. So I'll actually answer both the questions, Rakshit, in the single go. So our plan B is, so if you look, obviously we are looking to get a good job in a very good Fortune 500 company. When you are looking at a Fortune 500 company, your visa application is suddenly strengthened and you kind of go for it. Second hack is obviously basically understanding whether it's a STEM configuration or not, which kind of helps you basically gain some leverage over it. Third thing is that you should go to a USB school with zero spend. And that's what I'm again and again saying. Try to minimize your spend. The reason I'm saying, for example, me or Chakri has a 100% first scholarship from Penn State. Even if we don't get a job in US, we don't have that financial liability to come back to India and then work. So we don't carry the financial liability. Plus we have a degree from US, so already we can leverage that. And the last thing is, you should also look at other geographies studying in US, which you can find a job. For example, all the people studying in US also eyeing a Canadian job also, because getting an immigration in Canada is far easier than getting immigration in US. So you have to keep an eye open across the globe and see where all you can go. And you shouldn't only have a plan B, you should have at least 2 or 3 plans prepared in addition to getting a job, because you're always prepared for your best case scenario. But what if you don't get a best case scenario? And that's when the things come up. So yeah, this is more about the questions you had, Rakshit. Yeah, Shuvesh, do you have any question?
Yes, I have. So basically, like you said, consulting is out. Also, kind of finance is out. So basically, since I come from logistics or shipping background, so supply chain management is kind of something which will, if I write a story revolving around that, it will connect in a better way. But I just want to know how to go about the resources or like other things from which we can like get out that okay, this is what I should get into. Like I know if like I know for me, for best easier thing will be to go into supply chain management. But would you recommend any resources or something I should like how to go about it? That should I connect to people working in those areas? That how the working environment is like, cultural.
Got it, Suresh. So let me like take your question bit by bit. So you are basically aiming for the supply chain B schools, if I'm not wrong. Now, while you are aiming for the supply chain B schools, you have to first shortlist those schools. Because me and Chakri both come from supply chain background, we can help you on that front. One is obviously the school shortlisting: Michigan State, Arizona State University, then Penn State University. Arizona State recently, like you also know, has been a bit centric on the GMAT. But if you're applying in round 1, you have a good chance with the 680 also. Let me just confirm to you.
Right.
Yes. But you have to be early, because applying early is very important, because now, and I'll tell you the mathematics behind it. So while you're applying in round 1, you have 100 seats, 100 seats to be a part of. While you're applying in say round 4, you have only 20 seats to be a part of. So you see the ratio will go down, and your chances of getting a B school admit will increase or decrease accordingly. So now coming back to your supply chain thing. Firstly, you have to shortlist the colleges you want to be part of. While you have shortlisted the colleges, go and connect with the alums, like I told for Rakshit also for finance. Go and connect with the alum. Go ahead, connect with each of the alums, and try to connect with the adcoms if possible, so that you can tell your story beforehand only. So you know what, there is a different weightage that this is given, the adcoms give to your admission. There's a GMAT weightage, there's the undergrad GPA weightage, there is a what do you call your social activities weightage, there's a networking weightage also, because networking plays a very important part in US admits. So I'm again and again stating it, networking plays a very, very important part in your US admit. So what I'll recommend, if you're shortlisted to the colleges, go ahead and shoot a mail. For example, if you want to shoot a mail to Scott, who is the Michigan adcom, if I'm not wrong, please take a reference from Sri, and you like, I got a reference from Sri, and like I want to make. Go and shoot a mail to Mike. Mike is the Penn State guy. So you suddenly you know you're referring to them, that this is the person I got referred from, and can I have a conversation with you? Understand that. Understand their thought process. For example, for in case of Penn State, I can tell you they focus more on the non-GMAT part as compared to the GMAT part. Michigan State is a even mix of both. It's both GMAT plus your undergrad. So I got into Michigan State with a 680 round 2 100% scholarship. So that's what I'm saying you. And Shri, what was your scholarship in Michigan State?
Yeah, it was 90%.
So yeah, so see, Shri got into Michigan State with a 90% scholarship with a score higher than me. And I got into Michigan State with the 20 points lower than him with a 100% scholarship. So mine, the fees is I think $52,000. I got almost 51 point something around that. So I had to pay some $500 to $1,000 per year. That's what it is. Almost 99 point something kind of a thing. So that's what I'm saying you. So your score, you have to just fall in that bucket. A 680 to 720 is kind of, they treat it similarly. Maybe 710 plus is something they will like put a little bit more weightage, but it's generally that's the score that you're looking for. With that case, what I'm saying is that go and connect. That's what I'm focusing is the networking bit. Now moving on to the second bit. Obviously, you will do your GMAT bit. You have already done. You have, that is what it is. Third thing, apply early. Apply right now. Go and apply in round 1. Talk to adcoms. Apply right now by September 15. Get a solid application in place. Fourth thing, do a solid research about the companies you want to get in. For example, I'll tell you. So for all the supply chain majors who are in Pathways leadership program, which is a part of Amazon development thing, is a very important thing. Shortlist you like 3 to 4 companies which you want to be a part of, and tell us adcoms, okay, these are the 3-4 companies I want to be part of. Like you have Target. Their Target is basically based out of UK, but you also have stores in US. You have Walmart. Walmart generally don't takes international, but Walmart e-commerce sometimes hires international, so you have to be aware of that. Amazon, it always hires international. Then you have Dell, which always hires international. You have their supply chain thing. You have Apple, they are based out of Texas. So you have to identify those companies. So when the adcom comes and asks you in the interview, have you identified those companies? You suddenly tell, yes, A, B, C, D are the companies I'm looking for. And also Weber's plan B around it. What if you don't get into those companies? What is your second background? For me, it was analytics. Because I also have a background of analytics, so I had like 3 to 4 years of analytics experience. I told them if I don't get into this one, I would pursue a career in analytics and supply chain. Well, I help the supply chain folks with my analytical experience. So you have to web a story around it, have a plan B, a network, and most importantly, be very confident in your interview. That has the highest weightage. I don't know what is the weightage number, but it has the highest weightage. It's when you are interacting in person with the adcoms. You have to understand that. You are interacting in person in the interviews. You have to have a very good story. And most of the B schools post the top 20 have behavioral questions. Like why this B school? What do you think you will be able to contribute to the B school? Why MBA now? What is one thing that we don't know about you? Tell about yourself. And it's most on the behavioral part. Be wary of that you are aware with the behavioral part of the B school, and that's how you go about it. Now coming back to your essay part, which also forms an important component, because if you're choosing the supply chain B schools, go ahead and just portray your story because they will anyways accept you. But if you're choosing a non-supply chain B school, for example, a Simon, which is a finance B school, or a UCRY, which is a tech B school, now you have to see how they have a imprint on those fields, because every other field is correlated in a way. Finance will have some imprint in supply chain, vice versa. Similarly, you have to identify and then web your story. So this is the way I want to pursue, because I also have an interest in tech or finance. And these are the elements which I want to study, where I can get a grasp of both the things. And that's how you web your story. I hope that answers your questions, Suresh.
Yes. And also I was asking more on the line of to answer when let's say adcoms ask you that how did you know that okay this is where you want to go? For example, if you want to go into supply chain, how did you know that this is the best thing to like this is the best thing for you? So so what should I answer? That I
So,
did this,
Subesh,
I did that.
if you have a supply chain background, I would say you have the answer ready with yourself, because you have a, so there are two kind of things: enhancing your career and pivot, changing your career. They're the only two stories people have. This is principally what people do. Firstly, enhancing your career. So you just say, because I am a supply chain guy and this is where I want to go, and this is because of which I want to do a MBA in supply chain. You have the story already prepared and take him through maybe some supply chain terminologies, or if you're doing in marketing, take them through that. So that tells you you know that thing, and that's why you want to advance in that field. Second thing is pivot your career or change your career, which I think Rakshit is doing. He's moving to finance. Now, what he has to tell is that while I was working in tech, I had to got a chance to say interact with a tech client. He was I got to interact with a client who was based out of finance, a bank or something, where I got to know this financial terminology, and I did some courses and I got an interest in this. Now, since I already have a tech background, I want to study the finance so that I can integrate both of them and create my own space for myself where I'm able to use both technology and finance, which will be the knowledge I'll gaining from you, and hence I'm looking for a finance. And that's how you web your story. So these are the only two things: either you change your career or you enhance your career. That's it. Yeah, Subesh.
Yes, yes, thanks a lot. And my next question is based on what you said. When they're asking for plan B, so should you like, is it advisable to switch your function? Like, for example, if you said like
No.
I want to go into supply chain,
So,
and if
Subesh,
yes,
I got your question. So what I'll tell you is that it also depends upon how convincing you are to the interviewer. Sometimes it's not about portraying your story; it's how confidently you're portraying its story. For example, though I told my plan B is data analytics, but I still webbed the supply chain story in it. Okay, I want to get into data analytics, but I want to do data analytics for a supply chain firm or for the supply chain wing of any of the big e-retailers, and hence I am going to use my data analytics skill set in addition to the supply chain skill set which I am getting from you, and that's how you web your story. So what I would advise you is that keep your core forum, because you have already written so much things about it in your essays and everything, so don't divert from it, but also have a plan B if required and if asked, which can be webbed to your supply chain story, or in case of Rakshit, to your finance story, and then you portray it, be it tech, be it supply chain, or be it anything, because you will see an interlinkage between every other functions in case of an MBA thing.
right, right. So I'll just give you an example, like what I did. For example, for my plan B, I told them like I had two stories in my mind. I was planning to. What I told them that my company has this management consulting branch of it. So maybe I'll try to go back into my company only, but in management consulting, their branch. And my other plan was to tell them to come back to my company only, but as an operations manager or supply chain manager.
So
So
Subesh, I will just
they
tell
think
one thing. Is your company a multinational?
yes, yes, like Maersk Line, it's a shipping company. So it's like
Okay,
world's
then
largest
it's
shipping
okay.
company and then
The
Maersk
reason
company.
I am telling you, basically, if you were, so there are few cross questions that come. If you're very good, why is Merck sponsoring you? If it is, then it is good. If it is not, why they are not sponsoring? Then why would they even hire you? So
Exactly, exactly,
there
exactly.
will be cross questions on that. So I'm specifying. Don't specify a company which you are already part of. That it may sometimes backfire to you. That's the only thing I'm saying. Keep it more generic to a
Yes.
stream, maybe a supply chain or a data analytics, and have target companies. Don't specify a single company, then it kind of narrows down your scope. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Yes, yes, yeah. That is well understood. Thank you.
So yeah, I hope we will be ending the session in a couple of minutes. So I hope the session was good. We will be having this kind of series every weekend or every alternate weekend now, and we will try to also help you on your MBA applications, how you're feeling, what to go, whom to connect, and what to connect, and basically on the networking bit, because that I'm again saying networking is the most important bit pre-admission for your thing, even post-admission. In US, networking is the 90% way you get into a company, and I'm again stating networking. So we'll help you on that front, how we did and how we are doing right now. Last second thing is there is an MBA tour on September 15th, evening 6 to evening 9. So please try to attend it. So yeah, those were the things I had. If you have any further question, we'll be honored to entertain it. Otherwise, I think we can wrap it up.
Thanks for watching the video and do subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.